I've got 8 reasons why I'm not touching Bowman baseball prospecting with a 10-foot pole. Today on Data Dive. Hey everyone, welcome back to another Data Dive powered by Market Movers. My name is Tyler Nethercott, better known as Teapot. Finally getting into an episode that I've been meaning to do for quite some time, Bowman prospecting. You know, I got my start at Sports Card Investor helping Jeff build the database for our popular cards and Market Movers, and there was one archetype, one type of card that gave me the biggest headaches when trying to write the queries and put those into the database, and those were the Bowman prospect cards. So today, I'm breaking down the 8 reasons why I don't come anywhere near Bowman prospect cards. But before I do that, this episode is brought to you by Market Movers, now with nearly 850,000 cards in our database, including tens of thousands of Bowman prospect cards, and now with brand new pricing plans starting as low as $9.99 per month. Visit marketmoversapp.com to find out which plan might be right for you. All right, let's talk some Bowman. All right, so before I get into this, I have to say something. If you like Bowman prospecting, more power to you. I'm not the type to want to bash on how others participate in the hobby, what they like to collect or speculate on. I'm totally fine with that. I know a lot of people who really enjoy Bowman prospecting, and it might be the main or even only way that you like to participate in the hobby. And if that's the case, again, totally fine. So don't beat up on me too much in the comments. I'm going to explain to you why personally I don't get into this too much. Now, Bowman is a really interesting product. Prospecting by its nature, totally and very much intrinsically part of baseball. And so it's really interesting. We don't have that minor league phenomenon in the NFL or the NBA. And no, the G League is not the same thing as the baseball minor leagues. So this idea of starting to buy cards of players who aren't even into the major leagues is pretty much unique to baseball. Maybe you could argue that it's the case in soccer or hockey, but I think baseball for sure is unique and in a class of its own, especially insofar as these are the cards to go after, the cards. Whereas college cards in football or basketball tend to become less popular and less valuable after the Pro League uniform cards are released. So let's get into the 8 reasons. And before I do that, I've given this guy a shout out before, but this is one of my favorite channels when it comes to baseball card content and also thinking how I like to think and present these data dives. Scotty B Cards. He did a video called The Dangers of Baseball Card Prospecting. Go over and check out that video. He covers a lot of points that I'm not going to get into in here, including breaking down the rates of Hall of Fame achievement according to draft classes and prospect lists. So definitely go check out his video too, especially if you enjoyed this one. I would give that video an A+. Now let's get into the reasons. Number 1, I don't have the patience to wait for the call up. It can take a long time for some of these athletes to make it to the majors and then to start performing well. So this is a guy named Mark Appel. Have you heard of Mark Appel? Maybe recently you've heard of him. Here he is pictured with Andrew Luck. Remember the number 1 draft pick, the can't-miss quarterback since Peyton Manning, who went to the Colts, who then sadly retired prematurely. Sorry, Colts fans. Sorry, Andrew Luck, investors and collectors. Mark Appel was selected number 1 overall in the 2013 MLB draft. First round, first overall by the Houston Astros. This is Mark Appel's 2014 Bowman Chrome first prospect card, the black refractor auto numbered to 99. Beautiful card, great auto. And here's a headline from, looks like my brother from another mother, similar look, Jason Owens of Yahoo. Former number 1 pick Mark Appel gets the MLB call-up 9 years after being drafted. 9 years. You can see the little write-up here, just shy of his 31st birthday. He finally makes it to the majors. This is abnormal. 9 years is abnormal, but it's not uncommon for some guys to take 4, 5, 6 years to finally make it to the majors, even if they were very high draft picks, and even if they've been on the MLB, top 50 or top 100 prospect lists for a number of years. Here are some of Mark Appel's cards from Market Movers, from Chart Other Cards. And I just put in Mark Appel, Bowman, Bowman first or something to that effect, and you can see his auto refractor, numbered to 500, chrome, first auto, $4.11. For a former first overall pick who took forever to get into the league, how much do you think that card would have sold for back in 2014 when those cards came up? On July 19th, you have his gold prospect chrome auto refractor numbered to 50 for $31 in a BGS 9.5. So this is what can happen. You have to wait forever, wait for these prices to mature, and then they never do if these guys never make it up to the league. For example, or for reference, here's Casey Mize, also first overall pick. Unfortunately, has been injured, wasn't pitching too well for my Tigers. But again, first overall pick. Raw, recently this card sold for $200. And that's with the hype on Mize being very down. I'm sure this card would have sold for more when this card initially came out. This is with him being, out of commission right now. Here's Matt Olson. This is from Trading Cart Database, and it shows you, if you click on it, the years that they have cards from. Matt Olson had cards going back as early as 2010 when he was 16 years old. Atlanta native, local guy. In 2013, that's his Bowman first. That's his Bowman first year, and it wasn't until 2017 that he had his rookie card. So again, you can see it just takes a long time. Personally, I don't necessarily have the patience for that, and especially if you're doing it in terms of speculation, trying to flip cards and trying to hit the timing, I think there's better options to go after in terms of turning the money quickly rather than sitting on it, putting it in a box for years and hoping that the guy does something and maybe even forgetting that you had their card in the first place. So that's the first reason. Number two, once these guys do get called up, many times they don't perform well, or at least not initially. So here's an article I found. How long does it take for the top prospects to succeed in the majors? And this is to get a 2+ WAR, a Fangraphs WAR. There's different WAR calculations. To get at least a 2 WAR in a regular season, 55% of these players, it takes at least 2 to 3 years to become basic level contributors with a 2 WAR, let alone superstars, somebody who's putting up 6, 7, 8+ WAR in a season. 23% of them, it takes at least 4 years. And if they're doing this, and it took them 4 years to get to the pros, and then it takes them 4 years to get a 2+ WAR, their prices are going to come crashing down, and they'll almost never recover unless they absolutely start blowing up at some point. And even then, it can be really short-lived. All right, number three, the prices for these guys almost always come down after they make the majors. So here's Wander Franco. He got the call-up on June 20th of 2021, last year, a little over a year ago. And you can see, as so many players do who have a lot of hype, the most hyped prospects, their prices go up right away. They shoot right up. They went up almost 70% in that first week or so after he got the call-up. Probably helped that he hit a home run in his first game. And then, as so many of them do, like I said, their performance doesn't quite, match up to what the expectation. His prices start coming down, down, down. Franco struggled actually in his first few months. In spite of that first game when people got really excited, he was really struggling. It wasn't until later in the season when he started to turn it on and had that incredible streak of consecutive games getting on base. And so this is what happens with a lot of these players. It takes them a while to get used to the MLB. The same thing happened this year with Julio Rodriguez, who started out really cold in the season, has only turned it on over the last 2 months or so. Bobby Witt Jr. showing some signs of life, incredible speed, but he's not quite hitting for average yet. And so you see this phenomenon where their prices come down. It wasn't until August, 2 months later, that his prices even got back to where they were before he was called up to the majors. And let's flash forward now and see what's going on with Franco's prices. They came down, they leveled back off, and then as we got into the next season and he was starting to tear it up and was having, a really incredible run as the MLB season closed out, people got really excited about him again. They thought, okay, maybe this guy is the real deal. There was a lot of hype going into the season, a lot of hype with Wander Mania, with his rookie card coming out in Top Series 1, and now he's been out, injured, wasn't playing particularly well, and there's this huge crash. So this is not an unusual phenomenon for these things to happen with these guys' prices after they make it to the majors. And now he got the big contract from the Rays, which is kind of surprising from a franchise like the Rays, but who knows what's going to happen with him. So time will tell with Wander Franco. Reason number 4, most prospects related to that just flat out don't work out. They don't have great careers. Maybe they don't even make it to the majors. So let's look at some information. This is the 2011 top 50 MLB prospect list, published back in 2011, okay? And here you can see the list. I've got 30 guys, captured here just to fit it on the screen and give you a sample size. Number 1, Mike Trout. Number 3, Bryce Harper. Obviously, both of those guys have gone on to do incredible things. Number 2, Jeremy Hellickson. He's pitched. Does anybody care about him? Not really. Dominic Brown. Do you even know who that is? Dustin Ackley. honestly, I've never heard of that guy. So you're looking at this list. I put in orange guys who have contributed, maybe have had injuries or have just been good players in the league. And the guys in green are the ones who are on the track to the Hall of Fame. Here's the 2014 list. Nobody in green. Some oranges. Purple would be guys that I think have had, really notable accomplishments, like really notable, or have been shown some flashes of being really good. Here we see Mark Apple at number 17, just getting that call up. That's kind of funny to see his name in 2014. In 2017, no greens. We got a handful of purples. You can see Benintendi was super hyped back then. Yohan Moncada hasn't been able to put together. Gleyber Torres, everybody knows, having like a mediocre season this year, and people are kind of like, oh, finally he's doing something. Dansby Swanson, really putting it together over the last 2 years. Ozzie Albies, same thing for him. Bellinger obviously has been like this in his career. Like the guy looks like one of the best hitters in the league, and then the next season he can't seem to hit the ball. Devers, good offensive player, terrible defender. And so here's that list. And then finally, in 2019, same thing, you got the purples with Vladdy Jr., Fernando Tatis Jr., Kyle Tucker, Bichette, Wander Franco. These guys have shown flashes. They've had really strong seasons. Some of them aren't playing well this season, especially Bichette and Franco, and Tatis has been injured. Tucker actually having a disappointing season compared to expectations. And then in orange, some of the other guys who are kind of showing signs of life in the bigs. So when you look at this, I've given you 120 players sample size, the top 120 players from each of those respective seasons. And I don't know what the percentage is here. I should have totaled it up, but just eyeballing it, it looks like maybe 20% of those players even in the league and household names in some capacity, and only 4 of them really like on the track to the Hall of Fame already. So you have all this pre-baked expectation for these players based on these prospect lists, and then most of them don't work out. And even when they do, a lot of their prices can go down. All right, reason number 5, the price to potential ratio here seems way out of whack to me, like way, way, way too much expectation pre-baked into these prices. Let's take an example recently. Man, did this shock me. Julio Rodriguez is having a good season. He's showing a lot of flash, a lot of potential, 5-tool player, all those things. Last week, on Golden, August 6th, his red refractor first prospect auto BGS 9.5 sells for $276,000. More than $250,000 for a guy who's halfway into his first season, who's playing well, who was an all-star, but who could never play again, there's so much that could go wrong with this guy still. Compare that to Shohei Ohtani's red numbered to 5 rookie card from Bowman. So this isn't his Bowman prospect, his first prospect, it's his rookie card, red numbered to 5, $144,000, so a little over half of the price of the Julio Rodriguez. And then Mike Trout, $90,000 for his Bowman Chrome Draft refractor BGS 9 numbered to 50. So okay, numbered to 5, numbered to 50. But if you said to me, which of these would I rather have, that Julio Rodriguez or $180,000 plus the Trout gold? No brainer, I'm taking the Trout. No brainer whatsoever. So it's not like what Julio Rodriguez is doing is some kind of unprecedented, insane debut. I just took Judge, Tatis Jr., Ronald Acuna Jr. as some guys who performed well in their first full seasons and comparing their stats. And you can see Julio Rodriguez, OPS, .816, not even sniffing what these guys did in their first seasons. Obviously, he's still got some more time to go in this season, but he's been injured recently. And in terms of WAR, you had Judge all the way up at 8. Can Julio Rodriguez get there? He's got a good WAR this season so far for the games that he's played, but he's got a long way to go. And if you actually look, Tatis had 12 games fewer and had a better WAR in his rookie debut than Julio Rodriguez. So let's take a look at a few more prices. Here's that sale. These were the top sales all time for Bowman cards on Golden in their new website. So since their data goes back on their new version of their website, you can see you've got the Mantle, you've got the Jason Dominguez that we talked about on Cards in the Table in the past, which is the Superfractor numbered 1/1 for $474,000. You've got Pujols, one of the all-time greats. You've got Tom Brady. You could have a Tom Brady BGS 9.5, True Gem BGS 9.5 refractor, or you could have the Julio Rodriguez for $60,000 less. And then The one that stands out to me here was the Willie Mays, his 1951 Bowman Pop 77, only 11 higher, one of the greatest players of all time, one of the most iconic cards of all time. Which one would you rather have? For me, that would be no question. I'll take the Willie Mays. And then keep going here, and these are just some of the cards that sold, in terms of price range. You could have had the Jeter foil, you could have had the Brady, Contenders auto, you could have the Kareem, even Luka Doncic and Patrick Mahomes. If you take those two guys, I feel far more confident that those guys are going to go on to be the generational greats in their respective sports, and they've already proven that they can be at that top tier, than what Julio Rodriguez is going to do. And finally, LeBron, his exquisite RPA. This is an authentic version, but with the 10 auto exquisite RPA, $264,000. Which one would you rather have? That sold just 2 months ago on Golden. So too much pre-baked expectation into these cards. There's also suspicion around these higher or lower serial numbered ones. I should say that some people buy those in an attempt to sort of set a baseline high and potentially manipulate the prices of the lower or the less rare serial numbered cards like the oranges and the golds. I hope that's not the case here, but it's possible somebody could go, well, if the red sold for $250,000, then I'm going to pay this much for the orange. Just kind of concerning in that regard, and some people have expressed concern about that overall. Reason number 6, there is massive price downside. The floor is very low on these cards. I'm giving you a little sneak peek of our new Market Movers design, which will be releasing in a month or so, maybe less, to the public. Really excited about this new UI. We're doing the testing right now, and here I've taken the Fernando Tatis Jr. Bowman Chrome Prospect Auto from its high point all the way back last year in February of 2021, when it was selling for around $5,000 and is now down to $2,160, down 57%. And this is what can happen with these guys. Tatis obviously has been out, but there's no guarantee he can even come back and stay healthy. So there's a lot of downside. Same thing with Cody Bellinger. You can see this card, not quite as high price. This isn't a super rare version, but a high of $1,000 at one point, now down to $136, down 74% from basically the time when we started tracking this in Market Movers in March of 2020. So these guys don't pan out, even when they have MVP seasons, even when they win Rookie of the Year, even when they win World Series, they can still come crashing down. A lot of floor, very low floor on these cards over time. All right, reason number 7, these Bowman cards are the most confusing thing in sports cards, bar none. So here's an example, okay? You can get the first Bowman prospects out of Bowman, just the set called Bowman, which also has chrome inserts of the first prospects in the same set. And those say Bowman Chrome on the card, so you don't necessarily even know that it came from Bowman. You can get first prospects out of Bowman Draft, which also has chrome first prospects in the set. And then you can also get first prospects out of the product, which is called Bowman Chrome. So there's a separate product called Bowman Chrome, and that also has first prospects. But wait, there's actually more. Now in the last few years, we have Bowman Draft First Edition, which especially makes it confusing when you see the first on the card for first edition and the first for first prospect. So here's Jason Dominguez from a few years ago. First Bowman, that means it's his Bowman first. First edition down here. And that can get really confusing when you're trying to look for those cards on eBay and search for those, and you're getting the wrong results and you don't even necessarily know what you're looking at. And really all it has is just the first edition on it. The little logo, it's the same exact card with a first edition logo on it. So the other big thing is that PSA often mislabels these cards, putting chrome in the set line where it's actually the variation and vice versa. And I'll show you what I mean in a minute. Here's a list, for example, of 2020 Bowman products. Ignore the soccer one, but this is from Cardboard Connection. And you can see all the different ones. Bowman First Edition, Bowman Baseball, Bowman Megabox Chrome, Bowman Sapphire Edition, Bowman Sterling. List goes on. Then you get to Bowman Chrome Megabox, Bowman Platinum, Bowman Draft First Edition, Bowman Chrome X, Bowman Draft, and then Bowman Bowman's Best Baseball. A lot of different choices. It can get very confusing. And the worst part is there's no way to really intuit when you're looking at the cards or when you're searching for certain players to know which ones came out of which product. You have to do a lot of research in order to know that. So here's 2 cards. I've covered up the card for the moment. And just look at the PSA labels. 2020 Bowman Chrome Bobby Witt Jr. Megabox. 2020 Bowman Chrome Bobby Witt Jr. Mega Box. The only difference you'll see, obviously other than the serial number, the cert number, is the card number, BCP 25, BCP 160. You have no way of knowing which one's which. Here are the cards. Do you see the difference? Obviously the photo's different, but it's got this little Bowman first up in the top left-hand corner of this card. So this one came out of 2020 Bowman, and it is the Chrome Mega Box Mojo Refractor, and it sells for $130 right now in a PSA 10. This is the 2020 Bowman Chrome, that's the set, Mega Box Mojo Refractor, and it sells for only $37 in a PSA 10. This is extremely confusing, extremely confusing, and you have no idea which one came out of which product. There's no way to know. Even if you look at the back of the card, you can't tell. Now, there's one more thing even still, and that's that Bowman actually has rookie cards in it, not just prospect cards. So you could have the first prospect in Bowman, then you could have other prospect cards which are not firsts, and then rookie cards in Bowman when those subsequent ones come out, which are then competing with the Topps Flagship Series and Topps Chrome type cards. So here's Nolan Arenado from 2013. This one came from 2013 Bowman Chrome. This card came from 2013 Bowman Draft Picks and Prospects and is the Chrome insert. And there's actually nowhere on this card, if you turn it over, if you look on the back, nowhere on the card does it say that it came out of Draft Picks and Prospects. It says that it just says Bowman Chrome on here. It says Bowman on the back with the little verbiage, you know, about the manufacturer. So without this PSA slab, you have no idea which product this even came from. Reason number 8, ultra modern Bowman, like so many other products, has become extremely watered down by too many different parallels. So here's 2013, and I apologize, this is small, but it's small for a reason. You're gonna see why. Here's the paper prospects and the parallels. Here's the Chrome prospects and the parallels. So you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 parallels in total from 2013 Bowman. Here's 2017. I'm not even going to count all these, but you can see the number went up in both categories. Here's 2021. Look at this. I can't even fit this on the screen. There's so many different parallels, so many new ones, shimmers and fuchsias and all these color variations. Half the time you can't even tell what the color is supposed to be because there's so many different shades of the same color. And this doesn't even include the Bowman First Edition product that comes out and also has tons of parallels in it. So it's really confusing. So you've got this dilution of the set, too many variations, more cards being printed in higher print runs, and yet the prices being commanded for the top players is still like you would think there's only a handful of parallels and not as many produced overall. One last thing, the bonus reason, this is personal preference. Let me know down in the comments if you agree with this or not. Maybe you don't care. I don't like a lot of the photos on the Bowman prospect cards. Do you like this? Do you like this picture of Juan Soto, this stanky face, looking out, standing on the base paths presumably, or walking to the batter's box, can't quite tell. He looks like he weighs $120 soaking wet. That is not the Juan Soto that we know. That is not the Juan Soto who just went to the Padres as they mortgaged their future into Juan Soto. This is Juan Soto. This picture is Juan Soto. He looks jacked. He's in his, classic pose at the plate, ready to hit it, maybe ready to draw a walk, which he's been doing a lot of this year. It is a sticker auto, which is, kind of hit or miss with the Topps Chrome autos, but that's the Juan Soto we know, and that's the Juan Soto that we'll remember when he's ultimately out of this league. Same thing here with Fernando Tatis Jr. in a White Sox uniform, because that's who he was, in the farm system with. Compare this to his rookie auto in Topps Chrome, and there he is at the plate for the Padres. That's how we're going to remember Fernando Tatis Jr. So I don't like the photos on these cards. That's the final bonus reason, personal preference, obviously, but I'd rather go for the guy that I'm going to remember in the long term than this young guy in potentially a different team jersey with a bad photo. All right, so those are the 8 reasons, or maybe 9 reasons if you count the last one, why I don't get into the Bowman prospecting game. What do you think of this analysis? Do you like the prospecting chase? Do you understand the different sets? Do you think it's confusing? Which of these points most stands out and resonates with you? As always, let me know your thoughts down in the comments. I love reading them and I do try to respond. And if you enjoyed this video and would be so kind, as always, please click that little thumbs up icon down below and be sure to subscribe and hit the bell icon. Until next time, happy investing.